Yeah, at all.
They told her that she was doing like they were doing some shots from walking up to the lamppost.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be just them on the scene, and James thought it was just going to be him on the scene, and Lucy thought it was going to be her on the scene only, and then they saw each other, and it was just like, oh, pure shock, and I was like, oh my god, I love you guys for this. It
worked so well.
It was very nice. That's probably why we're so spontaneous in our roleplay, is because we don't like planning that whole thing out, because then it's fake. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That was when me and Hannah actually met. And so that was a really big inspiration.
I hadn't been in a lot of fandoms, and I got into Foster's, and I'm thinking I'm too old to be. I'm like
I was 16 when I met you, so...
Well, how old are you now? You're what,
22.
You're 22, I'm 24, so it's a 2-year age difference, so I was 18.
Yeah.
I was 18.
You were just getting to choose colleges and stuff.
So I'm 18, you're what, 16, and we're both into Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. And, you know, I'm 18, my parents are stressing me to go to college, and here I am fangirling over imaginary friends in a derpa house full of crazy fucking colors.
And I mean, Foster's was a really big thing in our school, because
I had a whole thing with feeling like, you know, I was too old to be into a fandom, and then, you know, look at me now.
Whereas, from my perspective, Foster's was a really big jump for us, and Foster's was a really big thing, especially in my video game design and development class, because it was the very first cartoon that was done up completely in Macromedia Flash at the time. And so, we actually had fanboys in the class. Chris Easterday, I remember. Him and me were such fan girl and boy for Foster's. Every single day he could do blue perfectly. So I would go in and I would start saying things that Mac would say, and he would just start talking, and we would play out these entire scenes. And we really wanted to learn Flash at that point in time. And so our teacher, because we were bringing it to the class, hey, have you seen this? It's done completely in Flash. We started our curriculum early in Macromedia Flash, and I was like, yes!
See, I never even knew it was in Flash at first.
Yeah, I told you it was in Flash, and you were like, what?
I was like, you did that on a computer, what?
And Adobe After Effects and Macromedia Flash, and Adobe After Effects was only for the rendering. That was it. So that was a big one.
The reason why Foster's was a big thing for me is because when I was growing up, I always wanted imaginary friends, but
I loved the concept.
I could never, like, I don't know. I can imagine up characters all damn day, but when I was a kid, I could never imagine shit to the point where I thought was thinking I was seeing them, or run around telling people I was seeing them. I never did that.
Yeah, I always talked to mine in school. But, I mean, Foster's, when you think about it, is kind of the entire foundation of RagNBone, because we keep taking in Stitch Punks.
Yeah.
And
I don't really necessarily know that we're taking them in, per se.
But you cannot tell me, you cannot sit here and tell me that when we received Nip and Tuck, when I was like, we should do an adoption contest, we did not want to let these guys go at all. We were like, no! We have to adopt these guys.
After I drew them, it was over. I drew them, and
I wanted to adopt them beforehand, but I was like, no, we can't have any more. We don't have a place for them in the story.
We took them anyway, and we're finding a place for them.
Yeah, it was like we couldn't find a place for them in the story. It was too many. We were already starting RagNBone, and we don't know where in the story we would bring them in. And then I was like, okay, draw up some pictures of these guys, because this is all Chibs has as a reference. Draw up some pictures of these guys, we'll hold a contest for Valentine's Day or whatever, and we'll kind of adopt them away. Because Chibs had them for, like, months, a year. And because I had first asked her, I said, what are you doing with them? And she's like, actually put them up for adoption. Nobody adopted them. And so we draw up Nip and Tuck, and then she gets a ton of comments about, oh my god, I remember these guys, and everybody was like, I thought these guys would never get adopted.
Everyone's like, you should adopt them, or, oh, it's so awesome you adopted them, and I'm like,
we haven't, we were going to set up a contest, and then,
next thing I know, everyone's going, do it, adopt them.
And so we're sitting here, I'm on the couch, she's in the chair, and she's doodling Nip and Tuck, and I'm sitting here, and I'm listening to music, and I'm like, oh, god damn it. And so we're just like, you know what? We don't have a place for them, but we're still going to adopt them.
Because...
And I blame Foster's for that. We can't actually let anybody go.
The core.
Oh, the core, yes. That's the reasoning for all my scientific apocalyptic kind of stuff.
I Am Legend, and I Am Legend, the main thing for I Am Legend for me,
the psychological effect of being alone.
The psychological effect of being alone.
That helped me with Jared.
Klaus.
That helped me with Jarek a lot.
Let's see. The psychological effects of being alone. I love the way that the zombies look in there. Zombies. I don't know if it's even. That's not even the proper
Mutated.
term. The mutations or
Yeah.
what? The infected. There you go. The infected look in there.
The concept of a cure actually becoming the source for a mutation.
One of the biggest things in I Am Legend that always has impressed me is when you watch I Am Legend. I was watching with my sister and she drove me freaking nuts. I love her to death, but she drove me nuts in the first 5 minutes because she kept asking questions. And I'm like, just watch. If you watch, you'll get it. And to me, this is sort of what I want to do in parts of RagNBone, is that I want you to be able to get some of it just from the background. Not all of it, obviously. I do want to go in and explain things, but there are some things I want you to be able to pick up from things around you, or I want there to be Easter eggs. If you
Pretty much, we kind of want to pull it off just like the 9 movie did. You can't just watch it once and be done with it. Watch it once and you got your characters. But you want to go back and see what were they interacting with and what were they doing. Even though it's present day and even though, you know, you can figure, oh, well, hey, they're introduced to this and that. There's so much shit in our house. There's no way you can go through these panels without stopping and staring at shit and being like, really? Because, I mean, knowing us, we would probably put little miniature figures of people's OCs in there and nobody would notice.
Yeah. One thing in particular is, when you're watching I Am Legend, there's a scene in the opening where he opens up his fridge and you see he opens a fridge. There's a cover of a Time magazine that shows a picture of him and it says Savior ? And that's just a perfect image for the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it also gives you backstory without giving you the full backstory all at once. It didn't need an extended flashback. Admittedly, there are extended flashbacks where he has flashbacks to what happens, but there's so many little things like that. You pick up that he had a daughter. You pick up that, you know, the way he treats the dog, from the way he acts towards the dog, that he had children at some point.
Yep.
You pick up, there's so many small details like that I adore. And that's to me is a really good characterization for a person that's by themselves.
Oh yeah, I loved when he would try to treat it like everyday business.
He
would go into the video school,
store,
and he would talk to the mannequins. And I was like, when he started talking to the mannequins, that's when I actually started appreciating the movie.
Yeah.
Everything else up until that point, because I was sitting there thinking, how are you guys gonna run with this the whole way through? And when he got to the mannequins, I was like, now I'm impressed because you guys actually address the psychological factors that would happen on any person
I like the fact
in
that
society.
He kind of takes it in stride, though, and then when he actually does find people, he freaks out pretty badly.
Oh yeah, and when the mannequins move and he knows they're not supposed to move.
Yeah, the fact that the creatures are smarter than
Frank.
Frank? What are you doing, Frank? That's like one of my favorite scenes in that whole movie.
Oh my god,
But,
and it's sad at the same
It
time,
is.
but
I really love what they did with...
hell, the Borzoi twins, now that I think about it, the Chimeras, when the dogs jumped out and were running at him, the mutated dogs.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I got the whole burning skin, melting face kind of thing.
Yeah, well, what I was thinking was, you know, when you take into context the idea of them being smarter than what they are, it doesn't make them chimeras.
Yeah.
Let's see. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
Which I have not watched entirely.
Which has another face actor in it. Now, I'm going to say The Curious Case of... I love movies like this. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button is one.
Where it's so supernatural, but there's so much realism in it.
Yeah,
though.
Supernatural, but there's so much... How far did you get in Benjamin Button?
Oh, I got to the point where where the priest was trying to get Brad to walk.
God,
And
you were so early in that movie.
Yeah, I know, because...
I won't give anything away, but The Curious Case of Benjamin Button has so much in it that the time periods it goes through, the visual style they take with the movie, the way they characterize people, the way they characterize, like, not just him, but outside people in it. I love the whole concept behind the movie because, like, again, it's so supernatural, but it's also so real. This Big Fish, if you've ever seen it, Secondhand
Big
Lions
Fish, I
isn't
remember.
supernatural, but it's very similar. It's this wild and crazy tale, but it's
it's
so real.
and when it's like mundane at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, here's a family occurrence that you wouldn't see in every single family, but it's there, and it just seems really
Time
mundane.
Traveler's Wife.
Yeah.
Again,
Time Traveler's, definitely.
these kind of things are kind
The
of
Lake
what-
House.
It's kind of, yeah, I haven't actually seen it, but yeah.
I haven't seen it either,
It's
but
kind
the
of what we're
concept
going.
blew me away.
What Dreams May Come. If anybody has seen What Dreams May Come, that has not only is that one have
That one is really mind fucking.
Not only does that one have the contrast of mundane in places, along with supernatural, but the supernatural, they take it above and beyond to this amazing... The world they build for heaven and hell is gorgeous. I love what they did with it. And just these kind of movies in particular, to me, really hit home with RagNBone, because
and it helps
think about
with
it.
9 too.
All these freaking homunculi, essentially, all these little derp living dolls in this house, and yet we're going about our lives on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, and yet we go about our lives on a day-to-day basis, and so do they.
Yeah,
and it works, and that's not all there is to the story.
Of course not. But, yeah. But, I mean, it's like a Miyazaki film. You watch a very mundane, kind of everyday character, and then something insane, like a giant walking castle walks by, talking fires, turnip head.
Living castle, that kind of thing, you know. I really like those kind of stories. I think that's what it comes down to, is that I love the stories.
9 is one of those stories. It's like, here... Fallout is one of those stories, game-wise, where you have a place where nobody is supposed to be existing, but somehow your character exists through it, and you keep going with it.
I would even stretch it so far as to say Silent Hill to a certain degree.
Even Silent Hill. Definitely Silent Hill, because all of that is actually grounded in reality.
Not in reality, but psychology. Too.
Yes, but realistically speaking, somebody can make an entire environment, no matter how many influences are in it. If there's like an entire town of people that do exist, somebody with a really kind of screwed up kind of mind, or they're suffering from severe paranoia or hallucinations, they can change the entire town, and it doesn't matter what you say to them or what you do. They hear this own thing in their head, and they just run with it.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of runs into that.
Not to mention the fact that I really want to do some work with the Chimeras with Silent Hill concepts.
Oh, there's plenty.
Toy Story.
Toy Story, obviously. I mean, we shouldn't even have to explain this one to you guys.
Attachment with small, you know, the toys, the concept of them, you know,
little
forgotten,
toys
tossed
coming
away,
alive.
or all that thing. Yeah,
I
all
never
of it.
want to let them go.
Rain of Fire. This is one of yours.
Rain of Fire, yes. The concept of, you know, creatures. What I liked about Rain of Fire is not only did they take a realistic approach with the dragons, especially with the chemicals combining to spit the fire, but in addition to that, they took a dead world and humans still found a way to live. Humans still found a means to continue, but at the same time, you have this entire other race so different from the humans that are surviving where they're not supposed to be. The humans are surviving in a world they're not supposed to be in. They're all supposed to be dead. The dragons are surviving in a world that wasn't really meant for them. But one woke up and it just kind of happened. So it's both really common species surviving in areas they're not supposed to originally survive in. Which is really nice. I like that. Everybody hated Rain of Fire. I loved it.
The Nutcracker Prince.
The Nutcracker Prince. Oh my god!
Again with the living toys.
Oh,
I
yes.
I with this movie, and I honest to God,
watched it in show
had
choir.
forgotten all about it until we talked about it this past Christmas when we watched it together.
Yeah.
And oh my god, guys.
Oh yeah.
He's adorable.
You guys have got to watch it. It's adorable.
Who did we say he was?
The Nutcracker Prince?
Yes.
He's kind of like a Lewis, but clueless like a Brad.
Yeah, he's kind of a Brad. I'd say he leans more towards a Brad.
Yeah, he takes up his sword when he needs to.
And I love that film. I love the concept of the toys coming to life and everything.
And they're very...
The clock and hair drops.
Yes, the idea that even though it's from a kind of a no-name company in a way, but the characters are very memorable, and you'll remember them. You may not remember where they come from, but you will most definitely remember. That works.
I love how we go from the Nutcracker Prince to Felidae and Plague Dogs.
Felidae!
But when I have Watership Down to that list.
Watership Down, the Plague Dogs, and Felidae all fit into a category of them own. At this point in time, of them own. At this point in time, Felidae is actually from Germany. You have the Plague Dogs, which I believe is Bulgarian, actually.
And before we start talking about these movies, I want to warn you guys, like we talked about
These
before,
movies are very graphic.
and these are cartoons.
They're cartoons, but they're very graphic.
They're insanely graphic. They're insanely
They have
dark,
cuss words.
and
They have
all-
sex scenes. And they're animals. They're
Mind you,
animals.
the entire cast are animals. Felidae is all cats, Plague Dogs is all dogs, and Watership Down is all rabbits.